Welcome to the Midnight Murder Mystery Escape Room. I'm going to start by going over a couple of quick rules. In the room that you'll see, the boundaries of the room are marked by the walls and the caution tape. Everything else is a part of the room that can be explored as part of the puzzles. As with most escape rooms, things that are tied down or taped down cannot be moved. However, if something is not tied down or taped down, feel free to move it around the room. You will not lose any information from doing so. There are several different types of locks. Some locks require keys, some locks require numbers or letters or a combination of the two, and we have one directional lock, which is input in directions. You may begin now. You are a small but elite team of private investigators hired by the local authorities to investigate the aftermath of a grisly murder in a small house in the quiet streets of Witchwood Lane. When you arrive at the scene on the evening of November 1st, you quickly discover that you've fallen directly into the killer's trap. Shortly after you enter the living room, the doors lock behind you and all of your devices suddenly go dead, leaving you trapped and isolated from the outside world. As far as you can tell, your only hint as to what to do next is a small letter resting on the table in the center of the room. You should probably start out by reading the letter that was on the center of the table. 4 old friends got together for a friendly Halloween party, and 4 old friends were gruesomely murdered. What a pity. But who was who? How were they killed? And who killed them? I was kidding about that last one. I killed them. I killed each man in the way that he feared most. Now it's up to you to untangle this grisly scene. You have an hour and a half. If you succeed, it may just give you the clues that you need to defuse my bomb and escape. If you fail, well, let's just say that your bodies will be a lot harder to identify than our 4 friends here. You know what they say, corpses love company. P.S. If you're looking for some directions on where to begin, you're not going to get them. P.S.S. If you open any of those candy bags, I will kill you all immediately. If the candy bag is already open, however, feel free to dig in. Don't worry, I wouldn't poison it. That would be far too slow and painless. If you're feeling stuck, the first thing you should do is look around the room and see how many boxes you can find. Good job, you found most of the boxes, but there's still a few that are hiding. Take a look around one more time and see if you can find any more of them. Nice job, you found all of the boxes. But now, where should you begin? Take a think, and maybe look back at the old letter that you started with for a clue. Need a hint? Well, the letter contains the word directions in red. There's only one thing in this room, so far, related to directions. That's the directional lock. And it has all those colored squares on it, but what could that mean? Take a look around the room and see if you can figure it out. Nice job. You found all of the colored squares, each on one of the hands. But what does it mean? You're one step away from solving the puzzle. That's right. It's left, down, up, right. The directions that the hands are pointing. You've unlocked the first lock. You unlocked the first lock, but that box is still closed. That pesky little blue lock is keeping it from opening. But that lock requires a key. Where could that be? The hint lies with the candy. It looks like there's some sort of hint in that cryptic note. But what could it mean? Something about a piano player. Well done. At first, you didn't see anything underneath the piano player, but But then you noticed a little red paper sticking out. It turned out to be a bag of Skittles, and with it, the blue key. Congratulations. The blue lock, and now the entire box, has opened. Inside the box are a bunch of letters and a paper that says terror terms for trick-or-treating, along with a handwritten note scrawled at the bottom. But what could they mean? You decide that all the letters look like a word search. Perhaps it's time to do the word search and see what you can find. Still need a hint? There's 10 words on there, but only 9 that can actually be found in the word search. Which one is missing? That's right. It's the scarecrow. But what could that mean? And what does that have to do with the handwritten note at the bottom? Aha! You look around the room, and to your surprise, a scarecrow, just like in the word terms. And when you examine his back, the pink key. Congratulations, you've unlocked the pink key and the silver box along with it. You appear to have found the wicked witches and good witches of the north, south, west, and east. But what should you do with them? Where should they go? You found 4 places with witches in the 4 corners of the room. It seems like the witches should go there somehow, but which one should go where? You know which witch is which, but you don't know which direction is which. It seems like you need a compass. Very nice. You found the compass. That tells you which witch is which and which direction they should go. But what should you do with that information? And which lock could this open? You're one step away from figuring it out. That's right. The code is 374. The number under the witch of the west, the witch of the east, and the witch of the north, in order of appearance. You decide to try it on the black box, and the 3-digit lock opens. inside the black box is a long letter, and you get a feeling that that letter contains the hint as to which puzzle is next. But which one could it be? That's right. The 4 drinks mentioned in the letter are 4 red drinks: cranberry juice, wine, V8, and Powerade. Just like the 4 red liquids in the cups over there. But what order could they be in? And what should you do with the numbers? You decide to take a taste of all 4 liquids. You figure out that the 7 is cranberry juice, the 5 is wine, the 8 is V8, and the 2 is Powerade. But does that give you the combination? You're one step away from solving this. Very nice. You put the liquids in the order described in the letter, and then using those numbers, you open the 4-digit lock on the suitcase. The suitcase container number 1 opens. You found a small paper with 3 emojis on it. An emoji of a clown, an emoji of a pumpkin, and an emoji of a gorilla. And it's got 2 Velcro strips on the back. Well, where could it go? What could it mean? You decide to put the 2 Velcro strips with the emojis on this box with the 2 Velcro strips and the blank emojis. You get the feeling that this box with the 3-digit number code is the next thing you have to solve. But where do you start? All you have are these 3 pictures. Where should that lead you? Alright, you found them. But what about them? Where do they go? What do they mean? When you look under each one of the heads, you don't see numbers, but you do see eyeballs. When you look under each of the things, you see eyeballs on the table as well. So maybe the head should go on top of the eyeballs. But how? Where should each different one go? Nice. You decided to line up the eyeballs to the mask with the corresponding color and the border of the eye. Gold to gold, orange to orange, black to black, and etc. But now what? What does that tell you? You decide to line up the eyeballs on the heads to the eyeballs on the tables, shifting the direction of the heads until they're looking a certain way. And that's good, but again, how does this give you numbers? Very good. Because of the eyeballs on the pictures, and the eyeballs on the emojis, and the fact that all of the heads have eyes, you decide to follow the eye line, and it brings you to a painting, and under that painting, a number. After following the clown's eye line, and then the pumpkin's eye line, and then the gorilla's eye line, you get the code, 705. When you try it, the next 3-digit lock opens. You look through the box and you find a bunch of bags of candy and a cryptic note, again with certain words that are red, while other words are black. You get the feeling that this is the hint as to what to do next, but what should you do with it? Before you get the chance to figure it out, you take a look through the candy and notice that one of the candy bags is open. You swear you've heard something about that before, but what should you do about it? That's right, the killer said to dig in. You decide to pour out the candy bag, and there it is, right inside, the silver key. You try it on the silver lock, and it opens, but there's still one more lock left. You look around the room and you find the cups, and when you turn them around, you notice that they have the name of the 4 candies that you found in the box. But what could they mean? Very keen eye. You notice the white paper under the mat, and it shows 4 shapes. 4 shapes and 4 cups. But how do they match up? Very nice. You decide to match up the shapes on the table with the shape of the bottom of each glass. That gives you the order that the candy's going. But what does that tell you? Very nice. You decide to follow the instructions that are written in red. Fill each cup exactly to the top. You fill the first cup with 2 Snickers, the second with 7 Skittles, the third with 2 Starbursts, and the fourth with 6 M&Ms. and that gives you your code, 2726. You try it on the remaining lock, and the lock opens. The box contained nothing but a letter. Somewhere in that letter must be the hint for the next lock, but what could it be? Nice. You notice that all the animals mentioned in the letter, the dragon, the snake, the rat, the spider, and the dog, could be found around the room, and each with a different letter in its mouth. These must be key to the code somehow, but what order did they go in? And what lock did they unlock? Very nice. You decided to put the letters in the order that they're mentioned in the letter. L, P, N, T, S. You try it on the second lock, and boom, it opens. The second container of the suitcase is open. You open the suitcase, but all you found was a couple more spiders and a couple more rats. Ones that look just like the ones you found before. No letter, no codes. What should you do with all this? How does this give you a hint? Need a hint? Try looking around at the boxes that you have left. Does any of them relate to these in any way? Very nice. When looking at the red box, you notice the equation on the bottom of the box, which appears to contain both spiders and rats. And when you examine the side of the box, a cryptic message. But what could it mean? Very nice. Noticing that the 7 spiders is in red, you look around the room and see if you can find 7 spiders. And indeed you find them. Very good. You decide to walk around the room and count the rest of the items in the equation as well. You start off with the rats. You find 8 rats. Then you look for bats, finding only 1. Next, you look for skeletons. You find 7. spiders, finding 7, just as promised. And finally, you look for birds, finding 3. When you plug all these items into the equation and crunch the numbers, you find the number on the box, 261, and the red box opens. Inside the box, you find another letter and another cryptic note. You get the feeling that that letter must be the key to figuring out what the next code is. But what is the clue? Need a hint? Think about your surroundings. Is there anything in the room related to the letter that you haven't used yet? You decide to remove all the items of clothing in the box that have a letter or a number on it. But that's still a lot of letters and a lot of numbers. How could you narrow it down? How can that get you to a 5-digit or 5-number code? You decide to keep only the items related to the costumes mentioned in the letter. The Hawaiian shirt, the gorilla hand, the Iron Man mask, the running shoe, and the cowboy hat. That gives you 5 letters and numbers, but what order should they go? You try the order mentioned in the letter itself, but it doesn't work. It doesn't open anything. What's the correct order? You get the feeling that you're missing something, but what is it? Well done. Remembering the cryptic note, you decide to order the items from top to bottom, but with your hands up. Leaving you with X, 8, N, J, 7. You try it on the last lock on the suitcase, and the suitcase opens. Once again, all that's contained inside the suitcase is a cryptic letter and a magnet with what appears to be some sort of demon on it called the Shanzakor. But what should you do with these 2 things? Where should they go? Looking around the room, you remember two things that appear to be related to this demon. One, a book called Monster Hunters, and two, the strange maze contained on the cardboard box hanging upside down in the corner of the room. How do all of these things relate? And what should you do next? Flipping through the book, you see passages about vampire hunters, witch hunters, zombie hunters, and ghost hunters. And you notice that the pictures in the passages are the same as the ones on the bottom of the cardboard box. But what could they all mean? And what should you do next? Well done. Remembering the magnet with the chains of cord and the start, you decide to press it to the top of the box. And boom! You can feel something on the other side moving along with you. You decide to go for it and try and pull it across a couple of the places, but it doesn't work. You can't seem to get past some of those hunters. So what should you do next? Looking back at the letter, you notice a sequence. Things that the Shanzakor is. Part ghost, part witch, part vampire. You decide to try to go through these doors, starting with the ghost hunter, but it doesn't work. Again, you feel that you're losing whatever magnet you're pulling on the other side. So what else could you try? Very well done. You notice the Shanzakor is three things. Part ghost, part witch, and part vampire. But there's one thing that he isn't. Part zombie. So instead of going to the witch or the ghost or the vampire, you decide to go through all the doors that have a zombie hunter in front of it. And lo and behold, each time the magnet pulls through, it pulls through, and pulls through. Finally revealing the key to the final locked box. You only have one left after this, and Richard's items. Upon opening the box labeled Richard's items, you find a number of different things. A shaver, hair gel, a water bottle, spray, a blow dryer, and finally, inside the glass with pomade, a cryptic note
this time with stains of blood all over it. You read the letter. It seems to contain hints about the murder that occurred, the murder mentioned at the beginning of the room. You get the feeling that you finally have all the clues you need to solve the final puzzle and get out of this room. But where can you start? How can you solve the final puzzle? The first thing you notice is that final letter reveals the order in which your victims were killed. First Ben, then Will, then you, and then Richard, the writer of the letter. Noticing that Richard has written the letter, we notice several hints as to his occupation, not only all of his items, but also little hints about what he does. It seems Richard is the hairstylist. You scrounge the rest of the letter for any more information, but you can't find it, except for this cryptic hint about pulling a rope and a two-sided battle axe forged from the skulls and bones of fallen angels. Well, what could that be? Well done. You look around the room for a rope, and indeed you find one. Upon pulling it, you find the double-sided battle axe in question. Now if the Shanza Court comes around, you'll be ready. But you're no step closer to figuring out this murder. You get the feeling that you're going to have to look back. But where should you begin? Well done. Looking back at one of the old letters, you notice that it's written by Ben. And not only that, it contains several hints as to his occupations. He has a lot of patients right now. He's making an antivenom. It seems Ben is the nurse. Alright, so you've made some progress. Richard's the hairstylist, Ben's the nurse. But you've scoured the other notes and you can't find any other hints as to that. Feels like you're missing something. Need a hint? Start at the very beginning. That's right. It was there right from the beginning. In the very first note that you got from the killer. I killed each man in the way that he feared most. That must be a hint. But what could it mean? Where can you find more information? There it is, in the note from Will, right at the bottom of the last paragraph. He mentions his Aunt Kathy being axed to death. Will must be afraid of the axe, and that must be how he is killed. You've found it again. This letter doesn't say who it's from. It's clearly from the cop. Talks about handcuffs, talks about going to the station, talks about traffic stops. And look what else he talks about. A knife-wielding psycho that killed his brother. We don't know who the cop is, but whoever he is, he must be afraid of the knife. The knife killed the cop. Nicely done. You found it. The final letter containing the final clue. The hairstylist, who we now know as Richard, is afraid of swords. So the hairstylist must have been killed with a sword. Now that you know that Richard was killed with a sword, and Will with the axe, and the policeman with the knife, Ben, the nurse, must have been killed with a machete. That tells you that the only person left who could be the policeman is you, and he was killed with a knife. Finally, that gives you the last piece of information you need. Will, who was killed with the axe, is the piano player. You've finally done it. You've solved the murders. Okay, so you solved the murders, but it doesn't open the box. You have murder victims. How do you get those murder victims to turn into a 4-letter code? I mean, where can we even start? It's not like there's anything that in the room that we haven't already used. Is there? Well done. Looking around the room, you remember the murder weapons and the phrases written on them. The machete, the axe, the knife, and the sword. They're all there. Now, you have 4 phrases. But what should you do next? How can you get 4 phrases into 4 letters? Very good. Looking around the room, you notice one more thing. The skeletons, or better yet, the corpses. And each one has a different word on it. First, second, third, and fourth. But what could this mean? As you examine them closely, you notice that each one gives you one thing that you have up here, an occupation. One with a badge is a cop. One at the piano player. The one who's giving an injection, a nurse. And the one with that comb and the scissors must be the hairdresser. You decide to select the word that corresponds with each occupation. You take the second word of the phrase associated with bed, and you get Crips. You take the first word of the phrase associated with Will, and you get evil. You take the fourth word associated with you, darkness. And finally the third word associated with Richard, foolish. You've gone from 4 phrases down to 4 words, and yet you still need only 4 letters. How can you narrow it down further? Looking around the room, you noticed one final thing that you haven't used. The gravestones. You bring them all to the table, but which one goes with which? They have first letter, second letter, third letter, fourth letter. This must be the way to narrow it down, but how do they pair up with each person? Aha! You figured it out. What's normally written on a gravestone? The name. Benjamin Ware must be beware. Will must be will rise. See you soon. You soon. And R.I.P. Richard E. Perry. You rearrange the graves in order, and now you feel you're one step away from the final clue. Well done. You figured it out. You take the fourth letter from Crips, which is P. The third letter from evil, which is I. The first letter from darkness, which is D. And the second letter from ghoulish, which is H. P-I-D-H. 4 letters. From 4 phrases to 4 words to the 4 letters you need to open the ball. You try the letters, and sure enough, the bomb opens. Upon opening the box, you find what you've been looking for, the bomb, and the key out of here. You run across the room, searching for any kind of scissors, and then you remember the barber, the hairstylist, his scissors. You run back, and you cut the wire, and the bomb does not go off. You appear to have saved yourself. Now, all that's left is to escape. Having found the final key, but gripped with fear, you slowly walk to the final door, trying it with trepidation, your hand shaking. The lock opens. Then, to your horror, beyond it lies the Shanzakor, the evil demon who has killed all the people in this room. But luckily for you, you listened to Richard's advice. You took the axe of souls, and with one fell swoop, you strike him down, escaping the room, killing the demon, and solving the mystery. Congratulations, you've escaped midnight murder.